Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys 10 of my favorite book series. I'm not going to say my top 10 because I don't know what my top 10 would be. Like, that would be just too much pressure to narrow down like 10 of my favorite series. But these are just 10 that I do really like and I think it's worth a read. I do have some that I read years and years ago when I was younger that I just feel like needs to be mentioned, and then some more like older, newer, kind of like young adult books that I really like. And like I said, this is in no particular order. So I'm not going to do any kind of spoilers or anything. I'm not going to describe why I like these books and be as vague as possible because I don't want to ruin anything for anybody who may have not read any of these series. So we're going to get started, and this is one of the newer ones that I read earlier in the year. This is the Nevernight series by J. Christoph, and this follows Maya or Mia. I think it can be pronounced both ways. And basically this is kind of her journey. You learn a little bit about her backstory kind of at the beginning, and I'll be honest, when I first started reading this, the first half of this book, I was just like, man, am I gonna make it through? Like, I just really didn't like it. But the second half of this series just like literally blew me out of the water, and like I immediately read the second one and a third one in just like a few days. That's how much I love this series. And what I do really like about it is that kind like in the first book, she's definitely fueled by like revenge and vengeance from something her father does. But her father, early on in the book, something happens to her father. I don't know if it tells you right here, so I don't want to be um like giving it away, but okay, daughter of an executed traitor. So it does go ahead and tell you right here that her father has been executed, and so that's what's driving her for vengeance. And she looks up very much to both her father and, her mother, and like I said, that's just what is constantly driving her. She is so, like, she's one of those characters that I feel like you could just chill with. Like, she's just like, you just hang out with one of the guys, you know what I mean? Just like so like laid back is kind of what the vibe that I get from her, but she's very powerful, she's very strong. But what I like about this is, like I said, you get this image of her family and how she sees them. And again, you know how kids are, they look up to their parents, they think that they can kind of do no wrong. And you find out throughout the series that that's not necessarily the case. And I feel like you see how, you know, you don't always know what your parents are doing behind the scenes, and that your parents are not always perfect, and they don't always tell you the truth. And even though they might be doing these things to protect you in a way, you know what I'm saying, they can hurt you in the end, like when you find these things out about your parents. But it's just, I mean, it is so good. And I'll be honest, the ending, there is somewhat of a love triangle, but it's not the main focus of this, like, whatsoever. It's like a very small part, I feel like, and that's one of the reasons that I do like, is I feel like it doesn't lean heavily on like a love triangle, which, I mean, I like that. I'm all about that. But this, she's very strong, very driven. I feel like very powerful, and she's someone that I feel like she puts on a strong face even when she may feel defeated. And again, that's just one of the things that I truly love about her. And there's so many characters in here that I love, like Trick. I love him, for example. And again, I love all of them, even the villains. They just, there's something about it that, like, you love each and every one of them. But it's also, I feel like, sometimes you can get so set on vengeance and stuff that you can be blinded by the other things that you're doing. And I just, like I said, it's so hard to talk about books without spoiling and ruining them. But I will say this. This is the only thing. I think she ended up with the wrong person. And I was watching one of Jay Kristoff's like Instagram He'll Answer Questions, and the person that she ends up with, someone asked, like, I think why or something, and he was saying that the person that she did end up with wanted it more, and I just disagree with that. And like I said, I can't say why I disagree because I don't want to give away any spoilers. But this is awesome. It's an amazing book, and yeah, amazing series, and you definitely need to check it out if you haven't already. All right, next is the Six of Crows duology, and this is actually, like I said, just two books, but she does have the Shadow and Bone series, which I've read, and I love that series as well. But I'll be honest, I enjoyed the characters a little bit more in the Six of Crows duology. She just come out with King of Scars, which I believe kind of it continues on. Like, in my opinion, you have to read the Shadow and Bone series to kind of get a little bit of like a background. Like, I feel like you need to read them all, if that makes sense. Like, I know that they're kind of like separate, but they're in the same world. But I really like this. It's full of adventure, and I feel like very like mischievous characters. And in this one, you do get different characters' points of views. But if you like, I feel like books or even like smaller series like this that's just really like action packed, this is such a great one. And there's a character in here that's very, very like cunning and slick, and I absolutely love it. Like I said, I really enjoyed the Shadow and Bone series. That one is one of my favorites as well. Like I said, I can't narrow it down to 10 favorites. I can't. But this one is just, again, really great. And I feel like, the whole entire, like, trilogy, all of it. Like, the next book is Crooked Kingdom. Like I said, there's just two of them. And then King of Scars, that's, like, I believe her newest one. And I've read that one as well. But I'm not sure, like, how this is going to be continuing on. But you definitely have to read this duology to read King of Scars, if that makes any sense. But it's just really good. If you like something with a lot of action, very cunning, witty characters, then this is a great series and you guys should check it out. All right, sorry guys, I had to let Xena out. But this is not a finished series yet. This just started. This is Sarah's new series. It's a Crescent See, and this is the first book. And I really, really, really love this. And I love her Throne of Glass series, which I'm not mentioning today, but I mean, it's amazing and you should totally read it. But like I said, I'm just mentioning 10 of my favorites, not my top 10 favorites, but just 10 series I really think you should read. What I really, really like about this series is that I feel like Sarah really gets into Bryce's head. That's the main character in here. And you see a lot of like what's going on with her, like how things are affecting her mentally, because something does happen pretty early on in this book and it even shocked me. And you see how that really affects her and also her group of friends, and it's kind of like they all go their separate ways. And you see how, like I said, things like different tragedies affect people differently, but she still puts on such like a strong front when you're reading this, and it's just, again, just one of those characters that, like, if you were an outsider, I feel like you would think nothing was wrong, but where you get to read how she just gets in deep to her mental state and how things are affecting her. And I just feel like it's very relatable, especially nowadays with everything that's been going on. And I love this, because she does talk a little bit later on in the series about, again, I don't want to give anything away, but there's something that she contemplates doing, and again, you just kind of get to see the mental process of that and how someone stepping in, I'm saying, like, stops her from doing something. And it's such a great series. And like I said, I think one of the reasons that I really love it is that just you get really into her mind, and it's so good. Yes, it's so good. If you haven't read it, like, you have to, like, that's a 10 out of 10 for me. All right, so sticking with Sarah, I have to mention A Court of Thorns and Roses because this series is way up there for me. I can say that this one is hands down in my top 3 series I've ever read. This is actually the second book, and I just grabbed it because it was on my nightstand. But I have read this series more times than any series I've ever reread. And what I love about this is, again, this is Feyre, I believe it's pronounced. That's the main character. What I love about this series is that you see someone that's, again, very strong, kind of starting out individual, but who's struggling but steps up when she needs to step up. And then you kind of see her a little bit more as not really a victim, but she kind of goes into another world. This has got to do with the Fae. And because she's a human, okay, I don't want to give anything away, but she crosses over into like the Fae world. And like I said, the second book, and like I said, this one is, I feel like, the one that really, the second and the third book, that I love the most, because at the beginning here of this second book, there's something that of course happens at the end of the first book, but I feel like this shows how controlling some relationships can be, and how, some people, they'll say they're doing stuff to protect you and they ignore how it's affecting you. And you see her really transform, though, and how, again, you just see her mental state and how things just drag her down. But then you see how, when you surround yourself with the right people and people that really care about you, how you can flourish and change and grow. And like I said, you see this as the whole book, and you really, really see it in the third book, just how strong and intelligent she becomes, and just how, again, I feel like it's just so one of those books that when you see, like I said, and look at each scenario, especially with who you surround yourself with friends. Like, there might be friends that say that they love you, but when they turn their head and ignore how something's really affecting you, they're not really good friends. And then you see how, when she starts to surround herself with new friends, I'm saying, how she flourishes. And I feel like, again, that's just so relatable with how you surround yourself with in everyday life as well. It just, I mean, it's so good. It's so good. So, I mean, like I said, I'm definitely very, like, I guess, passionate about everything she's ever written because I feel like it's relatable, in the sense of how things are going on, with like friendships or what's going on inside, and how things around you can affect you. But all right. Now, I do want to mention this series. This is a very old series to me. Like, I read this forever ago, and I actually, the first time I ever read this, my sister let me borrow the books. This is like the newer print, I believe. This is by Scott Westerfield. It's the Uglies series. There's like the Uglies, the Pretties, specials, extras, and he actually started continuing on to the series I think 2 years ago because I read both those books. But it takes it's like more in like the future, and it's completely different characters, which I'm actually really enjoying the two that he's come out with since then. But this was one of those that, again, you start out, Tally, of course, is the main character, and again, she's only 16, a little bit more like younger. But when I read this, one of the reasons I like it is it kind of is one of those societies where you go through, when you turn 16, you go through this procedure where it makes everyone pretty. And it's like, it talks about the ideals of what people consider as pretty. And I feel like that's even relatable today, whereas like a lot of people feel like, for example, like there's like this aesthetic that I feel like all girls are supposed to look like, and even all guys nowadays as well. And this is kind of like that. It has its set thing of what they consider to be, pretty. And it's very good. And I'll be honest, there is a little bit of a love triangle in here as well. But again, I don't feel like it's the main focus. They're trying to kind of overthrow the whole system of like the pretties, and then you meet the specials, and they're like kind of enhanced humans in a way. And I mean, it's really good. I was not a fan of the last book, the extras. That one I wasn't a fan of because it kind of steps away from the first half of the book and is focused on kind of a different character. But then some of the other older characters come back in the fourth book. But I do love this, and I think it's still a good read. It's just, again, geared for a little bit younger. I did reread this probably about a year ago, and I still loved it, and it's amazing. But it was just, again, I feel like that's geared more towards a younger audience. Now this I just got through reading, and I'm on Vow of Thieves right now. I think I just showed this in my, did I just show this in like my recent haul, book haul? I can't remember. Maybe I've had, no, I can't remember. But this is Dance of Thieves, and oh my gosh, this is a duology. I love this. Like, I read this book in, I'm not kidding you guys, 2 days. I was staying up till 3 in the morning. Anytime I get really invested into a book, it's bad for my health because I stay up really late and mess up my sleep schedule. But I love this. Again, if you want a very strong female character, action packed, like, this is the way to go. And I'm not sure why I loved this one so much, because I think it's because, again, the main character is very cunning, very sly. She's got like a quick tongue, and I just love that. But I also feel like it's got to show, like, it shows like deception and how, like, if someone welcomes you into a family, because the main character kind of does get welcomed into this family, it's like she is still set on her mission because she's like a soldier. At least that's how I see her. The soldier for like the queen. And I just, I mean, I love this. This for me was a quick read. I'm on the second one right now, but I'm only allowing myself to read an hour a day, so I don't fly through these series like I did that one. The next one is one of my favorites as well. I mean, all of these are her favorite, but this one is really great as well. This is The Cruel Prince. This is by Holly Black, and this is, I'll be honest, when I first started reading the first book, again, it was one of those that I feel like took me a little bit to kind of get started. I'd say like about halfway through the book, and then it just picked up, and I fell in love with this. Again, if you like very like witty characters, which I feel like that's really what I like gravitate towards, very strong female character as well, then you'll really enjoy this. This is got a total of 3 books in this series, and again, I don't want to give anything away, but this is about Jude, and you're kind of, again, 2 worlds situation. But again, I'm trying to read because I don't want to, like, give away anything. But they're kind of like, she's low on the totem pole, but she, again, is so cunning that she works her way up to the top, which I really like. But again, I can't say too much because I don't want to give it away, but it's really great. Something that's action packed, and I think a lot of people would really enjoy. So I do feel like I'm speeding through this, but I've been filming for forever because I can talk about books for forever. This is one of my favorite series, and is one of my favorite, one of my sister's favorite series of all times as well. This is by Marie Lu, and I love everything she's written. We actually got to meet her in DC last fall when she released Rebel. which was a continuation onto one of her other series that I'm going to mention. But yeah, this is the Young Elites. I'm not sure if I said that or not. But basically, they have powers. They each have like a certain gift, and again, this has again a female character that I feel like you see at the beginning she's very pushed around, but then someone kind of helps her become her own, and she becomes so incredibly powerful. But I feel like this is one of those series that it shows how the power can go to your head, and this is kind of what happens here. And she becomes, I don't want to say like a villain, but in a way she does, I feel like, become the villain to very like a lot of people. And there's something that this series is very sad as well, and that's something about, I feel like, everything Marie like writes is like she doesn't just kill people off. It's like she does, it's like what the fate that she gives you is worse than death. And that's what I feel like happens at the end of the series. But it's so incredibly good. But again, I feel like it shows how you can be blinded by power and ambition. And but like I said, this, I mean, I love this one. Again, this is a series, as you guys can see, it's like coming apart here. I have read time and time again, a little bit geared towards, I feel like, younger audience, but I mean, like I said, I've read it time and time again because I love it. And my sister as well, it's one of her favorite series she says she's ever read, and she reads just as much as I do. Now, staying with Marie, this is her Legend series. It's Legend, Prodigy, Champion, and then she come out with Rebel, which we've seen. This is what I'm talking about when I say that, like, she gives you a fate worse than death at the end of the third book. And like I said, I can't give nothing away, so I can't tell you guys, but it, like, this is one of those endings that just, I mean, still to this day, it sticks with me because I'm just like, how could you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, how could you do that to us? But it's so good. And she did come out with Rebel, and with Rebel, you kind of get some answers that you don't really get at the end of this book. Rebel, though, it wasn't my favorite just because, like I said, I feel like it wasn't really about this world. It's kind of because it's after this world and things that's happening after. But I mean, this was just, I mean, it's so good. And the main characters in here is June and Day, but Rebel is just Day's perspective and his brothers. But June does make an appearance in those, and like I said, you get a lot of like your questions answered. But I liked how this series originally ended, to be honest. Rebel was not my favorite, but like, I mean, again, this is a series that the ending just stays with me. When someone asks me what's one of the worst endings you've ever seen, I think of this book. And not worst in like it was terrible, but like as it hurt. It just really hurt, you know? But again, love it. So this is the Shatter Me series, and let me just say, this was, again, a series that just started out as 3 books, and then she come back to it, I think, 3 years ago, because she just released the last one. It's, let's see, I've already forgot. It's Shatter Me, Unravel Me. Oh, I can't. Restore Me is the 4th one, I believe, and I love the 4th one. When she was continuing this series, I was so excited, and the 4th one, like, literally just blew me away. But the 5th and the 6th one, I really didn't like. So I'm just going to be mentioning this 3 and the 4th one. But again, you see this one is from Juliet's perspective, and there's other characters that come in, and there is definitely a love triangle in this. But this one is one of those that, like I say, you see someone who's been pushed down and kind of been told like they're worthless in a way. But then when she gets with the right people, you know what I'm saying, she flourishes and just really grows and becomes so incredibly, like I said, powerful. And I feel like, again, it's one of those where you see there's one guy that I feel like, in a way, I feel like holds her back. And then there's another one that I feel like really pushes her and to see her potential. And again, that's just what I love about it. But yeah, great series as well. Well, the first 4 books are great. And lastly, this is the Divergent series, and I wanted to mention this. I know this is like made into movies and everything, and I feel like a lot of people mention this. It's because it is really good. This is from Triss. She's the main character, and then you've got 4. Again, this is one of the books that I love the books, and I didn't really hate the movies, but again, like if you're gonna make a movie, why change on a book? Why change anything? That's something that I just don't understand. But I do love this. Again, self-discovery. I feel like someone that's, you know, not sure what she wants to be, and you know, it's like society tells her she has to be in one of like the factions, you know, go with those. But she's divergent, so she fits into all of them, but that's not the norm, you know what I'm saying? Like, because they're killing Divergence. I hope that's not giving anything away. um, but it's just, again, really good. And I like books like this where, again, it's the underdog. She rises up, and it's so amazing. And let me just say, the end of this series as well, I thought was so sad. It was so sad. But I actually have her. I just bought her duology, the Carve the Mark, and I can't remember the other one, but I know I showed that in my recent haul. And I think I'm going to read that duology next after I finish that Vow of Thieves. Um, but again, it's amazing. It's so, so incredible. You definitely have to check it out. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and end this video because this is going to be a super long video. But I tried to, like I said, tell you guys what I liked about them without giving away any spoilers. If you guys, there's any series you should want to recommend to me, leave them down below because I will go out and buy them and I will read them because I love to read. I do have a few that I need to read. I want to read I think it's by Brandon Sanderson, the Mistborn trilogy or a series. I think it has 6 books, right? I do have that one that I think I'm going to be reading soon as well. But yeah, guys, that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it wasn't makeup related, but I don't know, I love to read, and I know there's a lot of people out there that do as well. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching.